Alright, so let's explore the PTO mechanism here. So this is the input shaft right here. This is where the drive shaft would connect. The charge pump would be right in here. The main case is right in here. This is the gearing or the splines for the axial piston pump, and then this back here is what drives the PTO clutch. This is the PTO clutch pack right here. It actually sits right back here, sits right in there like that, and turns like so. Now, this is made up of two different parts. It is made up of the clutch housing right here, and then in the clutch housing, there's this shaft right here, or this gear. This gear is what's going to transmit the power to the clutch itself. So this right here is sitting in this clutch pack right here. I can get it, go back in there. Just like that. And turning anytime the engine's on. It's just going to sit there and turn just like that. What happens when you turn the PTO on, and this is why you should have your throttle set to where the clutch does not chatter. So everybody that says, you should engage your deck at the lowest speed possible, this is one of the reasons that the manuals say you need to engage your deck at full throttle. What will happen is when you engage your deck, there's a little electrical motor or a little servo on the back of the transaxle that basically pushes fluid in here, and all these plates collapse on one another, locking this part right here to this part right here. So this is the input shaft, this is the PTO clutch. These plates all come together at one time, and basically, and you can see down in there, it's just like a normal wet clutch. When all those plates come in there, what happens is instead of this shaft spinning by itself like that, all these clutch plates will come in, they will lock these two units together, and that's what your power will then go from this gear right here, which was right here in the transaxle. It'll go to the idler, and then it'll go to the mid PTO shaft, and the mid PTO shaft slings it up front to the mower deck shaft right here. What'll happen is if you don't have good oil, so if you're buying cheap hydraulic fluid, when they're talking about chatter, what's going to happen is these plates are, when they start pressing up against each other, there is the potential for them to basically vibrate off one another, because there's not enough friction there to actually make them stick together. Just the same concept as a clutch in a vehicle or something like that, or a larger tractor, very same concept. And so what will happen over time, if you engage your deck, which is a lot of moving mass, so you have 3 blades on the deck, I mean, you think about how much force it takes to get those 3 blades turning at, 14 to 16,000 feet per second tip speed, tip of the blade speed per second, per minute, however it's measured, but it's a heap of speed. You think about all that force that has to be transmitted on these plates right here. That's why you should engage your PTO at higher speeds, particularly on mower decks. Now, things like snowblower, stuff like that, it's not hard on this drivetrain, so you can drop the RPMs back a little bit. So even though it seems like a good idea, because your brain, I want to be easy on things and I don't want to engage it at a high speed. Engaging it at high speed will go ahead and it'll push these plates forward. They lock in because they're turning really fast, and you're done. But if you engage it in low speed, and hopefully one day I will find a machine that I don't mind making the clutch actually chatter, and you'll hear this sound. I'm terrible at impressions like that, but that's the sound you'll hear. That's why you don't want to engage your PTO at a low speed, particularly on a mower deck. So hopefully that makes sense. The better the hydraulic fluid you put in here, the less likely chance of you're going to tear the plates up, stuff like that. That's why video I did like over a year ago, or at least over a year ago, I think. The video I did over a year ago, that is why I recommended to use low-vis high guard. Because yes, I realize that fluid's expensive, but this is what makes your machine be a machine right here. This little assembly. If this little assembly fails, it is a pain to get to. You've seen what I've had to do to get to it. Basically, you have to take everything off the back, pull the clutch pack out, and you can put a new one in. They're also not cheap. You can buy these things used, or you can buy a new one. I don't know how much the price of a new one is, but I can imagine it is not going to be cheap because nothing on these transaxles brand new is cheap. But I will quit. I will get off my soapbox. But there is a reason that Deere recommends RPMs and the oil they do. Now, I'm not saying, if you want to get in the oil discussion, I'm not saying that what Tough Torque recommends is incorrect. And I know Deere is trying to sell a product, but if the product works, why, for the amount of hours that you use a machine in between oil changes, why risk it? I don't know. I don't see the money savings there. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it on that part. So that is the PTO clutch right there. And so pretty interesting little system. Certainly a lot different than the dry clutch. It's on the 318s. Here is the swash plates right here. This is where it circles around for those piston pumps. And I have everything else out. The mid, I was going to do a video. I thought I had done a video and I forgot of the mid-mount mower drive shaft. It's just after the snap ring comes off for the gear, then you take these two cap screws right off here, and then you basically, I just use a rubber mount, and you can pound the drive shaft back through the case. So that is an empty K91 case right there. Already got the oil filter off and everything. I'm going to set it in the parts cleaner and go ahead and get it cleaned up and everything, or at least as best as I can, and we will go from there. So I think that is the end of this series. Hopefully it was informative. You know, and if you want to rebuild one of these things, now you know how to at least take it apart, and you can, you know, if you break the differential or something like that, you know how to get to it. You can rebuild it if you need to. I would encourage, if you start breaking stuff up in here, these pistons and everything, the tolerance is there. I would say just get a used unit. But you know, if you just need to replace a case or something like that from a tooth or something coming off, then that's something you can definitely do at home. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.